Welcome to this training video on the Rotary Planning Dashboard. This dashboard was put together because as we looked at the most successful ambassadors around the country, especially those that are engaging Rotary clubs and Rotary districts, one of the things we found is the most successful ambassadors were working very closely with the rhythm of their local Rotary district. So by understanding how Rotary districts and Rotary clubs plan their annual activities, ambassadors were more successful in aligning themselves and participating in those activities. So this dashboard is all about helping you do that within your own community. This is Greg Krauska from the Rotary Relations Committee, and the way this thing came about was some discussions that were happening between the Ambassador Council and the Rotary Relations Committee, and then further supported by Shelterbox USA staff. And then as we developed the template, it was tested in the field by a number of both established as well as brand new ambassadors. So it's built around what the most successful have done, but also based on what the brand new people were looking for to help support and enhance their efforts. And it's really designed to do three things. Number one, to help you set audacious goals. We know that any of us, when we set big goals, we're much more likely to achieve them, especially if we do the work that acts toward achieving those goals. Second is to grow our supporter base. We know that in order to achieve that outrageous goal of 1 million people served per year worldwide by Shelterbox, we're going to need a much larger supporter base, not just donors, but also volunteers, to make sure that we can have this ongoing rhythm of support by our donors in Rotary and elsewhere. And finally, to have fun. We know that as an ambassador, you're a volunteer, and that if you can do the things, number one, that you like, number two, what you're good at, and number three, maybe the things that you want to stretch yourself to even be better at, you can have fun and in the process represent Shelterbox well to achieve not only those amazing goals, but be an example to others so that perhaps they'll want to jump on board and support the Shelterbox mission as well. So as you go through, if you haven't done so already, go to the Shelterbox Ambassador portal and download the most current copy of the Rotary Planning Dashboard. And as we go through, feel free to pause this video to, number one, download that. Number two, to make some notes as you go. So you make sure that if you capture or create any great ideas as you go through this video, that you don't lose them. And this will be the first video of a couple different videos that we'll have exploring each element of the planning dashboard. This first session is just going to cover the very first page. So let's dive in. A quick word about our partnership with Rotary International. Shelterbox is proud to be Rotary's project partner for disaster relief. We're the only one now. That may not always be the case, but we are Rotary's project partner for disaster relief. And that's a huge advantage. So what we can expect from that is that Rotary from time to time will publish articles about us in Rotarian magazine. They may publish updates on social media and in other channels. What it doesn't guarantee is that financial support will come from Rotarians, whether at top level or all the way down to individual level. That responsibility is with each of us to engage positively in our districts and with clubs so that they'll become big supporters of Shelterbox and continue to do so for a long time. So once again, the important thing about the Rotary Partnership is to know that it's up to us as ambassadors and volunteers to make sure that we raise the funds that we need to support our mission. This planning template has been designed with three principles in mind. First of all, to keep it simple. Many of you are experienced ambassadors. You get a great rhythm, great relationship with the district leaders in your area. And so you might just need to polish and fine tune some things that you're doing. So this thing is simple. You can jump right into it. You can use as little as you want. For some of you who either want to take your relationship and your connection with Rotary District much deeper, this tool is very robust for you. If you're brand new and you don't have an understanding yet of the mechanics of how Rotary districts plan and do their events and how they do their work, this will be robust for you to allow you to explore those things and plan better and execute better along with that. And then finally, it's flexible. So if you need help in one area and not so much in another, or you're just trying to challenge yourself to go a little bit further in an area you haven't tried, it's completely flexible to let you do things the way you need to do them. And so think about this as both a planning and execution tool designed around the way that you work. And hey, it's written in Microsoft Word, so feel free to cut, paste, add, delete, whatever you need in order to make you as successful as you want to be in your particular area. What's the idea? Number one, to set goals. We know when people set goals, they accomplish bigger results. Second, to help you plan your Rotary calendar. So Rotary in each district has its own rhythm. And so by understanding what that planning rhythm is, and then making yourself part of it, you're in a better position to succeed. Third is to choose the activities that are going to help you achieve your goals. Again, you've got certain strengths and preferences that you have that for how you want to engage with Rotary. It lets you choose those activities to help you achieve your goals. If you've had some past success, it gives you a way to build on it. And then finally, stretch yourself to try something new. So there are 4 parts, 4 pages. First is the planning dashboard itself, that front page, where you can plan by month what's happening in your district and the key events that you want to be part of, and then kind of a 3-step plan for creating awareness, engaging with Rotarians, and then tracking your results. Page 2 is an annual Rotary calendar. So here's a sample calendar. The idea here is to go to your district website, figure out what your district's calendar is, and edit this to suit. So from there, you can map what district activities are happening, and then from there, your plan of what you want to do. Page 3 is a deeper look at engaging your district. So setting goals by which clubs you want to visit, engaging with district leaders, and then a sample planning checklist for some of the things that have really worked well across a number of districts. And then finally, a self-check and follow-through plan. So once you've made your plan, here's a way to ask yourself, hey, can I really execute this? And if you need help or you need some training, there's some prompts here to help you approach those or get some mentoring help from others around the area. It's also got some quick points about follow-through. How are you going to remind yourself? Is it calendar updates, or you want to have a lifeline partner reaching out to you from time to time? And then finally, how you're going to track and report your results. As always, most important there is ambassador reports. They give insight to staff and the committees on what's working, what's not working, who's busy, and allow us to, as an organization, to plan better how to support you and future volunteers. But for now, for this session, we're really going to zoom in on the Rotary Planning Dashboard. So let's take a look at the 2 pieces of that page that really are at the heart of this whole process. So on the top is the Rotary Planning Dashboard. And here the idea is to state your goals in the upper right, how much money you want to raise, and how many new ambassadors you want to recruit. And then you want to look at the key events in your Rotary district, write those down, and which ones that you want to be part of. So these events might be key Rotary Club events. They might also be key events organized by the district. And in addition to noting when these events occur, you also want to be mapping out when the planning horizon might be for that event. So for example, if this year you want to start having a shelter box speaker such as maybe President Kerry as a speaker at your district conference, well, working backward from an April or May conference, when do they make decisions about speakers? Well, if that's September, then you want to note that in your planning dashboard here. So pick the events that you want to be part of in your district, write them down here, and make sure that you're incorporating the advanced planning horizon in for each one to make sure that you have a chance to participate in the way you wish. The bottom of this first page on the dashboard is really about highlighting 3 things that are important to creating what's on the far right-hand side here, the results. The first is creating awareness. How are you going to get known? If you're already known, how are you going to update people on what's new? Or How are you going to let people know when there's a major disaster and we put out a special appeal? How are you going to create awareness? Second, how are you going to engage? So that's everything from presentations to displays at different events to special fundraisers. How are you going to engage? This is about making contact directly with people. And then finally, what results are you shooting for? Once again, not only financial results, but also recruiting. Let's take a closer look at each area. So under creating awareness, the question there is how you're going to get known. It might be providing content for a district governor newsletter or a district newsletter. Find out what it's called in your area. It might be providing press release templates to donating clubs. For example, you've got a club that donated after a Philippine typhoon or an Indonesian tsunami. Maybe you want to provide them with a press release template so they can announce that donation to local media. You, in the process, increase awareness for us and for Rotary. And that's what we're all about as a partner, is helping both sides to accomplish their goals. So what is your plan for creating awareness? This is about letting people know that we exist, letting the general public know that Shelterbox exists. Under the engage side, again, this is about engaging people. How are you going to engage people? We know the first bullet is about presenting to clubs. This has been our most successful approach for a long time. We know that on average, if ambassadors present to Rotary clubs, we expect about $1,000 in donations. Now, you might make 6 presentations in a row and get 0, but we know that planting those seeds always bears fruit eventually, either because of a major disaster or simply because of the planning and approval cycle within a particular club. You might go a little bit deeper by identifying the 10 strongest clubs that have not given over the last few years. We know that in Rotary clubs, leadership changes, and we know that leaders within clubs also have different projects and programs that they like to support. And so as the leadership changes, so might the support for Shelterbox. If they haven't given for a while, go back and see if they'll be open to a new presentation and perhaps to a grant request from that local club. Now, how do you find out? Talk to staff and get giving reports from your district to find out who's been giving and which clubs have not been giving, and in the process, plan accordingly. You might also offer a refresh presentation to clubs that you haven't presented to in the last couple of years. We know that the delivery model of Shelterbox has changed substantially. For example, a lot of people think of us as a standard, as delivering a standard Shelterbox with all the usual materials. But did you know that last year, 2017, fewer than 25% of our families actually received a Shelterbox tent? That's because there's been a massive shift to shelter kits, and there's also been a shift to customizing what we deliver to each family, depending what's really needed, as determined by our response team members. And so if the club is still thinking that we're all about shelter boxes and the way we used to deliver them, they're definitely in need of an update. You might go further and do an overnight training event. So one of the great ways of recruiting new ambassadors or deepen their excitement for Shelterbox is having them go to SAFE, our annual experience now in Texas, but also we're thinking about adding another one. It's those hands-on engagement opportunities that give people a real taste of what it's like to be involved with Shelterbox and a real taste for what our response team members do. Maybe you want to sponsor an overnight district training event with some hands-on leadership training, problem solving, teamwork, and communication activities, either on your own or with the support of staff or other ambassadors. So the question is, what's your engagement plan and how are you going to drive donations? We know that engaging with people directly is our most effective means. Way better than just doing social media alone. Yes, do social media for awareness, but the engagement, hand-to-hand, talking with people, asking for a donation, meeting them one-on-one is our strongest way in order to create donations. And then finally, results. What do you want to achieve? Beyond the top line number of, let's say, 12,000 or 20,000 or whatever the number is for you, let's look a little bit deeper and say, okay, how is that 12,000 goal, let's say, going to be achieved? Well, it might be increasing the number of giving clubs. It might be increasing the average donation. It might be signing up a batch of new hero clubs. And it might also include ramping up some new ambassadors. So as you see with all of these, the final prompt at the end is write your own. So here's some suggested activities. The key is for you in your district, think about how you're going to create awareness, how you're going to engage people, and then the results that you want to achieve. So that's really that first page of the plan template. In the next sessions, in the next editions of this little planning and training exercise, we'll cover the general Rotary calendar. We'll cover more detail on engaging more deeply with your district. And then finally, how to make sure that you're ready to go the next step and report on and track the results you're seeking. Thanks as always for the time and the energy and the creativity that you put in to making Shelterbox a success. And by success, that means not only raising the donations for the current disasters, but creating the capability of Shelterbox to be able to respond to no matter what happens in the future. If you enjoyed this presentation and this training session, please let staff know. If you hated it, please let staff know how we can make it better or what additional topics that you might be interested in. And we'll make sure that between the Rotary Relations Committee, the Ambassador Council, and staff, that we will produce content that will help you be more confident, more effective, and help you have more fun as you support the mission of Shelterbox wherever you might be. Thanks for now, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next session.